Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.
I tell my story at third human I took on as a partner. I'm Fenrir, a wolf soul from a tribe that fought the winter centuries ago. I was born in mountains of Rus. We now know them as Ural Mountains of Siberia, a cold and desolate place, far from an easy life for any creature, even at the most comfortable of times. The snowy season had continued for months, and the sky had been dark now for almost a year. In hindsight, we can see that it had to do with something volcanic somewhere. The greenery had been buried and died by snow, and the life-giving light had not reached the plants to feed them. Oh yeah, I've learnt much over the past few centuries. I now know things such as green plants need sunshine to live, and that when plants are gone, so does the food for us, our prey. And that is why we wolves starved. In this mountain there was a clan of wolves on the edge of starvation, and a tribe of men who were in the same state. The two clans were combined with nature's magic. I don't understand how this happens. There's no scientific reason, as of yet. But humans, shamans somehow allowed communication between wolf pack and human pack. An agreement had come about to help both groups survive this abysmal time. The wolves agreed to give their souls to members of human tribes so that chance for survival for both was increased. Those humans then had the advantage of both, both being wolf and man, or in some cases, the wolfman. This new combination allowed people to survive and be, well, as you can imagine, very successful. Was it an evolution of a kind? Was it the imposition of the gods or a god? Who knows? Who cares? But it stopped both clans from failing. I'll not go into any great detail about the happenings of the time as past episodes of my life are here on this channel and ready for your exploration. It is well dealt with. Having said that, Gennady was my first human. I mean, he was a proper strong man, but for some reason he was weak in beloved. He died of a broken heart. The woman he loved was his brother's wife, and he had to leave the werewolf tribe to get away from the constant pain of seeing her every day, happy with another man. On that journey where we ran from love is where the man died. He left me alone and wandering in the world, not knowing what I should do next. He died of a broken heart. I did not know that I could bind with another human at this point. I thought this lonely wandering was my lot for the rest of what would be time. I would be wandering the world, an invisible shadow, unseen and without company or friendship. I tried to talk and tried to bind with other humans, but this would send them beyond the mind and make them full of fear and fright. Fragile minds cannot cope with me. I don't blame them. Could you? Could you cope? I would have to move on from them, They couldn't deal with the idea of this giant wolf as a friend and guide. That was until I met a young boy only just beyond 10 summers. He was Thorstein, and the only thing that he loved was power. Over the centuries I spent with him, he worked to be king in Norway, bringing all tribes together in Northern Europe. He was a vicious, intolerant man, willing to do to do anything to anyone to get what he wanted. But as his empire grew, his ability to control it lessened. He had many working behind the scenes to rob him of his jarldom, and that would be his downfall after several centuries. Maintaining his borders against so many threats and attacks was impossible, and he passed eventually, alone and embittered with all. In the end, he had no friends or supporters. He had used all the people around him to succeed, and they in turn recognised this and would no longer support him. Eventually, he was sent from his tribe into Wild, where he ultimately gave up on life after his ambitions had been quashed. Again, for many decades, maybe centuries, I wandered the earth, trying to find a better host. From now on, I would not be linked to the power-hungry. I would not be linked to those who could die from a fucking ruptured heart from love. I would find a man or woman who existed for another reason, for maybe a noble reason. Maybe I needed a good person, a person of ethics and morals, someone who knew the mind. I came upon William when he was about age of 5. His soul was a bright beacon of light in a world of dull creatures. This boy's soul shone with brightness, and a brightness I'd not seen before. The brightness was faith. He believed in a God, the Christian God, and however you looked at him, he was good. The years with him have been good, but he's found his end of his life now. He doesn't enjoy his life anymore. He's become exhausted, and we're winding our way home from London to his home and the loved ones where he wants to die. I'm grieving at this loss already, but I understand it. The times have moved on, and the court is run by liars and cheats, whispering words they are in each other's ears. He trusts no one now but me and his lady. He must go. He's had enough. The time of the man of steel has passed. No longer is the fight at the hands of men's strength and heart. Now it resides in the mouths of effete courtiers, those that can confuse and manipulate with words. Words can be so much more powerful now than armies in the field. This is no world for my William. He is too good a man to understand and live in this new world, this world without fight. He and I are on this final journey's last leg, just the two of us. It will take us many days, but I love the fact that we're together and alone. I mean, he's not really alone. His retainers and retinue are many miles behind us. I think the sense his need for solitude on this journey, and we walk together, side by side, reminiscing on past days and past glories. We spend many hours laughing heartily at shared jests, and God, we enjoy these together. We wander through a wooded landscape that is so unlike today's English countryside. William sits astride his destrier, not a palfrey, but a full-blooded war horse. A horse that will fight as well as the knight if pushed. They're trained to do so, trained to bite, kick, and stamp on those on the floor. This one is also trained to accept us in all our forms. It's often tough for a prey animal to accept a predator like ourselves walking by it. This here horse is called Bastard. I love the fact it's called Bastard, and do you know what it is? For any other man, apart from William, it's a bastard. Most men wouldn't be on a destrier. Most men would find the comfort in a palfrey. A palfrey is a kind of horse that's not particularly wild or dangerous. It's comfortable and it lets you travel in comfort. But not our William. He's no ordinary man. He's no man for a palfrey. He enjoys the fact that the bastard is wild, dangerous and difficult to settle. A killer with a killer on a killer. He has let his feet fly in many a battle as Bastard to wound those who surround the knight. We trust him. We plod and chat as we pass beneath the trees. We come to a turning point on a track that is blocked by a falling tree. William stops at a point 500 yards away from that tree, and I do what I've done 100, probably 500 times before. I go unseen to check on what the problem is. This has meant that in many a battle and many a tourney, William has had much more information that has turned the tide just from my ability to transmit what I see with my eyes into his. I get to the tree, but already with my eyes see that he's a barricade to the way, and men are hiding in bushes and holes ready to leap out and capture this stupid lone knight. A man so expensively covered will be hostaged and ransomed like no other. None recognise his sigil, which is a shock. They must be very uneducated men if they don't recognise William's sigil. His fame goes far, even beyond this lone continent.
Well, well, my friend. A last moment of the fight before we arrive home. I do love banditry so. Foolish men, pretending strength against those of us that are truly strong.
Flashes into me head from William. Would you rather return to your retinue, William? I ask. I already know the answer. He's never been one to assuage a fight.
I think not, my friend. I am here now, and God has set this task for me, and to be honest, I thank him for it, I do. To wet my blade once more will be a great joy before I pass. There are only 5 of them against us 2. What chance do they have?
God, I love him. I smirked. I mean, I know it's difficult to think about it, but wolf souls can do that. We would have this final moment where we would do his Lord's work to rid the world of unjust men, in his opinion. These thieves and cutthroats would no longer waylay better men. William started to ride wearily up towards the tree. His helm was at his hip and his shield slung upon his pommel. Otherwise, he was armoured for the fight. And he must have been, well, he was an absolute awe-inspiring sight as he rode up to the thieves with a smile beaming across his face. At 100 yards, he reined his horse in and it snickered as it came to a stop. It could smell the hidden men, and it tossed its head angrily. It wanted to fight them too.
Please go see them for me, Fenrir,
asked the knight in me head, so I wandered back to the sight of hiding men. We now watched them through my eyes to see who was leader and who was follower. One man stood out, a large brute of a man. His face was scarred and his stare was cruel, but he seemed uncomfortable at the fact the knight had stopped where he had. He was just out of an easy range to be a target for the bowman he had too. It was as though he knew it was a trap, which he did. William ain't stupid. The man considered if he was making a mistake at this point, which in hindsight, if he could have had any after this, he probably would have realised was true.
Come out, for God's sake, you fools!
Shouted William, and I laughed.
You there, you with that scar on your cheek. You, the leader of these blackguards. Show yourself, will you, or apologise for this imposition, and I might consider letting you live through this day.
He said sort of wearily, although I knew he was excited. We, through my eyes, could see the confusion on the big man's face now. He gently touched the scar on his cheek. The mind in that brutish head was not that of a dullard. I could see him consider how the knight knew this. How on earth? Maybe this man's fame as a thief had spread far and wide already. The man had too much pride. A sin that would be the end of him in this case. Whispers escaped the lips of the insecure men. They were shocked and ill at ease because of the knight's words. The big man, the big boss, waved them down and back into cover and silence with an evil look.
Look, you unfair foul fools. Remove the sad barricade that this horse could easily take in its stride and be on your way, will you? Or I will have to kill you or capture you for trial. I don't mind which you choose, but you may wish to have a longer life than that which your choice will bring you this day, should you choose to stand and face me.
The knight again shouted. The archer slowly knocked an arrow to his bow and started to stretch the string towards his ear.
You, green-hooded archer that you are, you release that shaft at me, and I tell you, I will make that bow part of you in a most unceremonious way, my friend. If you survive, and I doubt you will, You would be a thing of ridicule by all men for being shafted by this here knight.
The archer let the string slacken while I could see how run through his mind. The knight and I laughed as we watched this man's confusion. The knight's jolly reaction made the bandits even more uncomfortable.
Well done, my friend. A good choice you have made this day. The hunting edge you have on that dart would not pierce this armour at that range anyway. I suppose you may have hurt my horse, but that would be the most hurt you could do, and I promise you if you did, your death as a result would not be short or pain-free or kinsman to any measure of mercy.
The men started to look around themselves. Were they surrounded? Were they trapped? How could this man see them? What was going on? Fear. That joyous thing I loved to give. Fear now took them. Were armoured men behind them in the woodland all ready to attack? Oh. The large bossman spoke quietly. It is some sort of trick. There is no one here. Harry, go check around and come back with some good news, mate. Harry then disappeared into bushes and trees. I heard this, as did William, and in order not to quell the fear, the knight shouted after Harry.
Harry, I would run, my friend. Take refuge in the deep woods, I would. If you return, you will die by my blade too.
At this point, he drew his sword and deftly circled it with his wrist. The watching men saw a man who knew how to use his steel. Things were not getting better. The leader could feel the fear that was taking over his men's hearts. He had to do something to stop that. He stepped from his hiding place. He had in his hand an old battered chipped sword, and he wore no armour, just brown, unkempt clothing, and he wandered to the middle of the road to be seen by the lone lord on his horse.
Ah, you must be the noble leader of this band. May I inquire about your name, please? I like to know the name of those that oppose me, I do. As you carry no sigil, I deem that you are no knight. Although a knight fallen upon his hardest of times would not issue a stench like you do yourself.
He smiled and laughed. He showed no fear. No fear. William never had any. And this lack of it was very disconcerting for thieves. The bandit boss leant over his large sword and smiled. My name is William Carter, my lord, but I no longer bend my knee to folk of your ilk, he said, spitting at the end of the sentence. William laughed.
I don't expect you to bend the knee to me. We share a name, but I do expect you to die on this here blade of mine if that is your wish, William Carter.
Hey mate, there are many of us here. You're on your fucking own. We could have you off that horse and dead in bushes before you even knew it. 20 against 1 is difficult odds, even for a knight. The big man said. The big man lying.
You say there are 20 of you scoundrels. That is strange, it is, because I myself can only count 5. That's if you count the boy over there as a man. He has no hair on his chin, and he's only seen 12 winters, in my humble opinion. A liar you are, as well as a thief, it seems.
Even Horse whinnied and seemed to be laughing at the man at this point. Look, you fucking dipshit, get off your fucking horse. Leave your armour where it is and walk away before we fucking murder you. Simple.
Steady thy hand and steady thy mouth, human, for that is what you are. I am a thing of your nightmares, I am, that you cannot comprehend, you see before you this day,
said my William as he leant on his pommel. He looked so fucking relaxed.
So move that paltry blockage of yours and allow me to be on my way, or you will be limbless and dying before the morning is out. and that is a short time as the sun is already near its zenith.
William said as he went to shield his eyes and looked at the sun through the leafy roof above. The boss bandit waved at his men to bring them from their hiding places. The 5 men had some experience of battle, obviously, as they emerged from their spots. They took up good positions and ready for attacking at night. "Well, you're gonna done it now, ain't you? You fucking wanker. We're gonna have you and your fucking horse. I ain't never eaten war horse before." The boss smiled and laughed. His men joined laughter, but it was forced. And I watched William as he dropped from the back of the horse. He landed heavily and some of the watching men flinched. He smirked. William did, at this display of fear from these unbrave men. He sheathed his sword and began unbuckling his armour, dropping items quickly to the floor. He was soon down to underwear and stood smiling with his hands raised high. Strangely, none of the bandits had managed to gather enough guts to go to him. They just watched. For some reason, there was definitely no relief in the man doing the expected. Something was wrong. This was wrong. Why was it feeling so wrong? That's better, your lordship. Come to your fucking senses, have you? That's what I like to see, lads? A lord in his underpants, in his pants before us. He now turned to his men. See? He was a bloody coward. They come across as these brave and ethical men, but the yellow underneath all the armour. See how easily he backed down? Right. Let's string this fucker up for crows to peck on. Show these lords and knights that this is our fucking woodland, our place. His men laughed in relief. This was how it was supposed to go. At the end of this forced laughter, the knight spoke. He should not have, but he did.
"Oh, I am surprised at this outcome, I am, my friend. I was only removing my armour to give you time."
"Time for what, your lordship?" The man butted in laughingly. The interrupted knight hung and shook his head.
"I was allowing you time to run, you see, before I came for you. You see, I don't need the armour or the weapons to hunt you and kill you. I recommend that you split up, I do. Go in separate directions. That way, there is a chance that maybe one of you will survive this wretched morn and live to tell the tale. But if you insist on standing together, slaughter you as one I will. And I tell you, that will be less fun for me."
He told the man, and the man was silenced for a moment by the confidence the knight exuded. William then asked me to enter his body, and we took on the form of our wolfman. We're 8 feet tall and thickly muscled, with a pelt so dark that it sucked the sunlight from the sky. A huge wolverine head and a mouth full of barbs to kill and rend with. Eyes of fire flashed into the shadows of the trees. This was a monster from heaven, and these sinners were to feel his wrath. The men now screamed. 2 ran, and 2 were frozen in fear. Bossman's sword fell from his shaking hands as he fell to his knees in a prayer in a puddle of his own fucking piss. What joy me and William were feeling in the moment of release. What joy we would share in this final hunt and feast. God knew how to treat those of faith as we ran forward to kill. We would be sending souls to hell this day. They had a chance. They'd been given chance, but they'd not taken it. Death visited each of the gang that day and left with her essence. We chased each man down and followed him to a hiding place. None fought, all collapsed in fear, or in the end, all a coward. They were pathetic in the fight, and I dispatched them quickly before the noon time had gone. 2 hours later, the retainers and luggage arrived. William was busy putting his armour back on, which takes time and is difficult without a squire. Sir Percy arrived first, and he was confused as he surveyed the scene. At the side of the road was a pile of red and freshly flensed flesh. He could see that it was made up of men's bodies, but They were so damaged that he couldn't tell how many of them there'd been. He looked at his lord and wanted to ask the question, but feared the answer. There were rumours in the royal court about the man before him harbouring a demon that could become physical. It was a slight thing of fear with those rumours. It was said he had a giant wolf-like beast inside him that he could become. Percy had laughed. He knew this man, this pious man. There was no demons. He sent idea and image of this from his head. This man William was truly pious. No demons could he carry. "Hey ho, William, are you okay?" he asked the knight, who was now being helped by his squire.
"Oh, yes, I am beyond fine, my friend,"
he told our Percy.
"God saw fit to give me a gift on this journey, and it was a worthy and great distraction from the miles. My ass is not as tender now as it's been out of the saddle for a while,"
he told the curious knight. "Oh, Lord, and what of them?" Percy asked as he waved in direction of the pile of wretchedness.
"What of what?"
replied William. Percy pointed.
They are now nothing, they are. Help me move this blockade, will you, Percy, that we might regain our journey."
Well, that's part 2 of our series, episode 162 of Werewolf the Podcast. God, that's a lot of episodes. If you go down to the description, you can sort of see us in all this social media stuff if that's your thing. You can buy books, you can offer us money, you can not offer us money, you can follow us and share us and do all those wonderful things. And you know what? We love you. Bye.
Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.